Fixing the Money Thing.
Welcome to Fixing the Money Thing. I'm Gary Keesee.
And I'm Drenda Keesee. You know, most people think it's impossible to get out of debt because they just don't have any extra money. But today on Fixing the Money Thing, Gary's going to show you that the average family has thousands of dollars they never knew they had in a place they never thought to look. Again, we're not talking about a $20 bill here. We're talking thousands. And that's why Gary calls this the mother lode of free cash.
It's in a place you never thought. It is in a favorite topic of all of us, taxes. So stay tuned to Fixing the Money Thing. We're going to talk about how to find the mother lode, the missing cash, the overpayments you're making in taxes in just a minute.
Here are a few things you may not know about taxation in America. In 2011, the IRS collected over $2.4 trillion from over 234 million tax returns. The number of people needed to prepare income taxes every year in the U.S. is larger than the number of people in the Iraqi army. Our income tax system is actually voluntary. The IRS only exists to, quote, maximize voluntary tax law compliance by emphasizing customer satisfaction. The Bible has about 700,000 words. The current federal tax code is over 3.7 million words. Americans spend over $27.7 billion every year just getting their taxes prepared. Albert Einstein was quoted saying, "The hardest thing in the world to understand is the income tax."
Well, taxes, it's a huge topic, but I want to make a point very clear at first, and that is, in no way am I saying we're not paying taxes, Drenda. I mean, I want to make sure people know that. When I say I'm going to talk about how to not, lose money in taxes, I am not stating that we do not pay taxes.
Right.
So I'll make sure we have that going in.
But, most people think taxes are boring. I mean, when you say taxes, I kind of go, oh. But how big of an area of loss is it that people are incurring because of taxes?
Let me say this. Most people would agree that it's boring. But when we talk about taxes today, it'll probably be the most exciting thing they have talked about or heard about today.
Why?
Because there's free cash. It's their cash, but it's just money that's sitting there they've overpaid without knowing it.
And taxes are getting more and more all the time.
Yeah, listen to these numbers. Last year, Americans paid $2.76 trillion in federal taxes, $1.45 trillion in state taxes. That's 29.4% of the percentage of the average income goes to pay taxes, not counting local taxes, not counting sales taxes, gasoline taxes, property taxes. The average family pays about 40% of their entire earnings in taxes.
Okay, so what can we do about it? If we're paying this amount of taxes, is there anything you can do?
Just think for a moment, this area of taxes, if it's 40% of our income, there's got to be a lot of movement there. There's got to be a lot of cash floating around. Most people think that it's stagnant, that basically it's pretty firm, that the laws are clear, everyone pays the same amount. It's not how it works. So I want to jump into some ideas. I want to help people today, Drenda, understand taxes. First, we do pay taxes. I'd like you to read a scripture out of Matthew chapter 22, verse 17 for me, and read that. Jesus sets the posture on taxes here.
All right, it says, "Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, "You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying this tax." They brought him a denarius, and he said to them, whose portrait, is this, and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then he said to them, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's."
Right, so again, we are saying that we owe taxes, we pay taxes. That's clear. But how much do we owe? That's the question. And what does Caesar say we owe? What does the law say? That can be difficult because the law is so huge, millions of words, a huge number of pages. But to give you an idea, Drenda, let's take a look back at a Money Magazine study. This is fascinating. Let's put this on the screen. I want to show our viewers this. What we have here is a 8-year study that Money Magazine did with the same criteria, the same data. In other words, took a family's yearly data and took it to a tax preparer to have it done. They took it to 50 different tax preparers, okay, the same data. And amazingly, throughout the entire 8-year study, not one tax preparer matched another with the taxes owed.
Wow.
Now, let's look at this difference here. For instance, this year, $6,807 was owed. Another accountant, other people had it up to $73,000. Which accountant would you want?
The 6,000.
Well, what's the law say? I mean, that is huge. So obviously, all these numbers don't match. There's thousands of dollars difference in what 50 accountants say someone owes. So it must be, and these are professional preparers, not your little computer, preparer software. These are these are CPAs and professionals. So what's the chances of you getting it right, Drenda?
Wow.
How
can it be so different?
Well, the code is so difficult. It is so huge that no one, even the IRS, notes that 50% of their informational phone calls to people's questions are wrong.
Wow.
That's the IRS's own study they did on themselves. Now, they went on again. Money Magazine went on again and did another study where they asked 50 tax preparers 10 questions about taxes. Not one preparer got all 10 questions right. Only 34 got half right. Money Magazine's conclusion is they guarantee that the average American is losing, or I should say, overpaying at least 25% more in taxes than they need to.
Wow, and what can we do about this?
Well,
how can we fix this area?
All right, so here's one thing we suggest here on Fixing the Money thing. You probably travel across town to, I know we do, if a sale's taking place, we'll travel across town to save a few dollars. Let me ask you, based on that chart, would it be worth driving across town for a second opinion?
Absolutely.
On your tax return?
Yes.
One thing you want to do, especially if you have a business, more complicated type returns, you want to get a second opinion. That'll save you, or could save you, thousands of dollars. Now, a lot of people are afraid to refile a return if they find they made a mistake. But the 1040X form, you can go back and fix the return. You have 3 years if you want to change a return that's been filed. And you need to take advantage of that if you find other data that supports something you can deduct that you didn't do. But this form is especially interesting. The penalty. How many people are afraid of IRS penalties?
Yeah,
Everyone
I think it's
says,
why people don't even get involved with it. They're afraid of it.
You'll hear this phrase a lot. People that owe back taxes say, well, I could pay the tax. It's just the penalties are killing me, Well, there's a form, 843 right here, that people don't know exist, that you can actually ask for an abatement. That means forgiveness of penalties. Now, you simply have to have a legitimate reason why you were late, or you couldn't pay your taxes when they were due. And essentially, you're going to tell the IRS you weren't trying to steal from the IRS. You just had a legitimate reason why you couldn't pay it at that time, or you were late paying it. And once the tax is paid for that year that you're paying on, that you've had penalties assessed on, then you have 2 years to file this form, 843, and ask for the penalties back.
So once you've paid it, you can still get your penalty money back within
Yes.
2 year period of time.
In fact, you have to pay the taxes first.
Okay.
And the penalties, and ask for it back, and then they'll send it back to you. Now, I know this works because you and I have done this way back in history. We found this out and did this and got the check. So 843 is the form. And again, as we go through this show today, we're just going to mention things. You need to write these things down because we're talking about finding your money. There is a huge variance in how taxes are figured.
That's right. We want to challenge you to take control of your life and be financially free. Check out today's resources, and we'll be back with some solutions every taxpayer is going to want to hear.
We're finding the motherlode of lost money now on Fixing the Money Thing.
Hi, I'm Gary Keesee, and you will never fulfill your destiny until you fix your money thing. Visit GaryKeesee.com, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button below for more amazing weekly videos on fixing your money thing. And thanks for watching.